If you want FPS like this has to be G8. This has to be G8. Delete it. You're not gonna win that. You just don't win those. You just don't win. Every 50-50 gunfight is not fair. Then follow this Modern Warfare 2 Sensequality guide here. Now we're going to be going through absolutely everything to just make sure that your PC is performing the best that it can. If you do need more FPS, you know to visit Sensequality.com and we got you covered. But let's get started here. The first thing that we have to do is we have to open the game here. And then you will go top right to just this little, I'm not sure what you call that, but it's a toolbox. Let's just say that. Graphics settings here. Now you always want to make sure that you're running in full screen exclusive, and then for the screen refresh rate, this should match your screen this hertz of your monitor. The display resolution, this should match the resolution of your monitor. You want to make sure all of this match, guys. Sometimes it resets, but you want to make sure that your game is looking crispy clear, and to check this every time you start up your game. Dynamic resolution, if you have a lower end PC, this definitely helps. I don't suggest it if you have a decent PC here, just because it makes the game look a little fuzzy. However, it does help here. Now, when it comes to custom frame rate, I recommend putting this to custom. If you're getting over 300 FPS, like I just showed you, then you can put it to unlimited. But if you're not getting anywhere over 300 FPS, then you could put it to custom. Now, I would just match your monitor's like refresh rate here. So 240 is mine, and then for the menu frame rate is 60, and then for the out of focus custom frame rate, that should be 30. Now let me explain why I do this. The reason why I do this is because this will decrease your overall GPU temperatures while you're playing. So like, think of your PC like a car. That's how I like to think of my PC. If you have your car continuously running at full speed, max RPM all the time, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be more susceptible to damage or heating up, and then overheating, and then you get all these problems like scanner repairs and stuff, or you're at the side of the road. Now it's the same thing with your PC here. So that's why I like to limit my frames in the menu, because then your GPU is not working as hard, your CPU is not working as hard, your CPU and GPU is actually cooler, and then when you get into the game, it's not going to thermal throttle you, it's not going to scan and repair on you. So that's why I usually tell people to limit their frames here. Now let's continue going. Focus mode, I put that off. High dynamic range, you could put that on if you want, but I generally leave that off here. So I would just apply those settings there, and then you can have your custom presets here. So the render resolution, you always want to make sure that this is at 100. Then the upscaling, all of the professional players that we work with at Sensequality is using Fidelity Cast, and you want your Fidelity Cast strength at 100. And this is just going to make the game just look a little bit clearer here. There's only like really 3 or 4 settings that actually like makes a difference to your game here, guys. So listen carefully. So the anti-aliasing, this is an interesting one. So you don't need to run Filmic. However, if you can't see, if it's looking a little grainy, you could definitely run the Filmic here. Anti-aliasing quality, you could set that to low. Video memory scale, you could set that to 90. Texture resolution. Now, the only real settings that make a ton of a difference is the texture resolution, texture filter, anisotropic, and that's about it. We're gonna go through some more here, but for example, if I'm on a 4090 on this system here, it's not going to make a difference if I run normal and normal here. So for me personally, if I'm on 1440p, I'm running a normal texture resolution, texture anisotropic. That way I get the best of both worlds, best in FPS and the best in terms of looks too. So in regards to this is what I would usually recommend. If you have a lower end system, I definitely suggest just going all the way down to very low or low and seeing how your FPS is there. If it doesn't make that much of an FPS difference, definitely go to normal here. Nearby level of detail, distant level of detail, low. You could set all of this to low, guys. Particle quality, clutter, low. You want all this to basically lower off. On-demand texture streaming, low, off. Streaming quality, you definitely want this to normal. What this does is it allows textures to render just at a farther distance here. You definitely want this at normal here. The low doesn't really make a difference on higher end PCs. Volumetric, low. Deferred, off. Very low, off. Low, 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 off. Now you're starting to see the gist here. None of these make a huge difference to how your game looks unless you want an absolutely beautiful looking game. However, like none of these really make a massive difference. So all of these are either low or off. So the way that you can do this, the way that you know which one to use if you're on an NVIDIA graphics cards, this is only for NVIDIA graphics cards. After you apply all of your settings, you're going to run the benchmark here. So I will just back out. I would go to benchmark, and then as you can see here, I have the benchmark utility. Now, if I am 66% GPU bottlenecked, that means that I should be using NVIDIA Reflex on. If I am a higher percentage in terms of a CPU bottleneck, that means that I should be using on plus boost. So if you go back here, graphics, and you scroll down, NVIDIA Reflex low latency, if your CPU percentage, bottleneck percentage, is higher than that 50%, you can use on plus boost. If it's around the 50%, you could still use on as my default setting. But if it's higher, 70%, 80% CPU bottleneck, then that's when you use on plus boost here. The reason why you don't want to use this in dramatic GPU bounded situations is because this will always, remember what I said about that card running at fast RPM? This will always keep your GPU running at a very high clock speed when it's really not necessary. It's not the bottleneck here. So in regards to this, I would just leave this on if you are not sure. However, if you follow that guide there with the bottleneck percentages, then you should be good to go here. Filmic grain, this helps a little bit. I would adjust this to as needed, but this definitely helps a little bit. And with NVIDIA Fidelity Cast, I would set this to 100. Now, if this is not working for you, if it keeps going back to and reverting to a random setting, all you have to do is press off. You're going to press apply settings, and then you put the Fidelity Cast on, and then you apply it, and it should be good there. Now, in regards to the view, if you're a controller player and you just want just the best view possible with the best aim assist, I recommend somewhere around 100 to 105. Now, I personally run 103, but that's my personal preference. You're gonna have to find yours. Now, 103 is a great starting point, but if you want to go crazy and you want to go 120, then that is the way to go for you. This is personal preference here. Now, in regards to first person camera movement, you want this at 50. Third person camera movement, you want this at 50%. And now let's go to the interfaces here. Now, in regards to the interfaces, what you want is you want to go to telemetry first, and then you want to set your FPS counter on, server latency on, packet loss on, and GPU temperature on if you want to. And that should be the most useful telemetry settings here. And then what you could do is scroll down. You want to skip the introduction movie. If you've already seen it like 10 times, that should be good. And you want to turn parallax effects off. That's going to help a lot here. So that is great right there. And then we have disable disbursement and gore effects, and that should just give you a little FPS boost. Now, in regards to that, we're all good here. Now, if you're on a controller, I would recommend these dead zone levels. So 0.04 for your left stick min and your right stick min, 0.99 for your left stick max and your right stick max, left trigger 0.04 and right trigger 0.04, and you should be good with that there. That's what a lot of the professionals use currently here. Now we are done with basically the graphics settings here, and I'm going to show you a little secret here as we back out. We're not even close to finish, guys. Now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go and you're going to have to type in on your Windows graphics settings. So if you just type in graphics settings, you should see hardware acceleration. You want to make sure that's on there. Now if you type in background apps, you want to make sure that these are all off. You want to type in game mode. You want to make sure that game mode's on, and you want to make sure that the X bar game bar is off here. So that should help a lot. Now, in regards to your NVIDIA control panel, if you guys are on NVIDIA, you're going to right click and you're going to click NVIDIA control panel. You're going to go to manage 3D settings. You're going to switch threaded optimization on. You're going to switch prefer max performance on, and texture filter and quality high performance. You want to switch power management mode to max performance. You're going to make sure that your change resolution is set to your monitor's max refresh rate and your monitor's max resolution, and that should be really good there. Now, if you want a smooth looking game, you just want the smoothest game possible, that's when you enable G-Sync. If you want the lowest delay possible without any kind of frame delay or anything like that, that's when you disable G-Sync. Most pros just leave this disabled here. So that should be good right there. And then there's one more setting here. So of course you want to download just the NVIDIA profile inspector. You want to press yes, and then all you have to do is type in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So if you go to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022, or you could do this to any game, to be honest, you want to scroll down here and you want to make sure that this little glass is checked. And then there's just these three settings right here. So it's F00BA, F00BB, and F00FF. You want to make sure that this is set to Battlefield. You want to make sure that this one's set to Battlefield. That's how I remember it. And you want to make sure that the last one is set to Battlefield as well. And then what you're going to do is apply changes, and boom, you are set. That's going to enable resize bar. And you want to make sure that resize bar is enabled in your BIOS. If it's not enabled in your BIOS, that setting's not going to do anything there. So just make sure, or double check, go in your BIOS and make sure that resize bar is enabled here. Now, time to get to the nitty gritty. We're going to go to documents. We're going to go to Call of Duty. We're going to go to players. And then we're going to go to options.3.cod here. Now, I'm going to tell you the good news. The good news is I have this file already done for you. So if you just want the best settings possible, I'm going to link this file below, and that should be perfectly fine here. The only thing that you're going to really have to change is basically this right here, your render word count. Now, whatever your CPU is, we've invested around $40,000 in PC parts to check all of these settings for you guys here. So listen carefully. So for the render word count, whatever your CPU core is, if you pull up Task Manager, you just type in Task Manager here, and you go to Performance tab, and then you go to CPU, and you go to cores right here where it says 8. Whatever your CPU is, you want to match that with your render word count, and that most of the time is going to be the answer in regards to just the best render word count here. Now, on some systems, there is an advantage of taking it one less than your actual cores. For Windows. So Windows is going to be on 1 core, though game's going to be on 7. So if you want to try that, you can too. All you're going to have to do is just run a couple benchmarks, see which one is best for your system, because every system's different, and then you should be good to go. For example, I have 8 cores, so I'm just going to use an 8 render word count here, because all I do on this PC is game. It's basically a console here. For your video memory scale, you can put that to 0.9, and that should be good. And then all you have to do is save that, and that's it. Control save. Now, if you did want this file, all you have to do is download it from the link in the description, and you would just copy and go to Documents, Call of Duty, Players, and then you right click and paste it, and you would just override your current file, and boom, you have all the settings done for you. You are good to go. You might have to change 1 or 2 there, but that is it. That's all you would have to do there. So that should be good right there. And then let's get to basically what PCs perform the best in Modern Warfare 2 and what should you expect in terms of performance. Now, Modern Warfare 2 is way more intensive than Modern Warzone. So I would say that if you're seeing just a little bit less FPS than Warzone, that is perfectly normal there. But as you know, we want the highest FPS here. So the CPUs that perform the absolute best for W2 is the 13900K. It's going to be the 5800X 3D. And you could say the 7950X here. So for example, for all the professional builds, for all the pro players builds that we're doing, that is Z-Laner's build back there. We're running him with a 13900K because the 0.1% lows are the best on a 13900K. Now, Kirneill, what do you mean by 0.1% lows? Like, this is the stuff that normal guys won't tell you, right? This is the sauce right here, guys. Let's get into it, right? For whoever tuned in or stayed in, you're about to get the sauce here right now. So let's get back into the game here. So your 0.1% lows are basically that FPS that you're getting when you're in that gunfight where you need it the most. That FPS that might cost you 1 kill from 1 bullet here. So this FPS is the most important FPS indicator that you should look at, because averages are it's not going to tell you everything, guys. Averages just tells you how your settings are, but the 0.1% lows, that's how your game feels. It's like your car can basically go up to 300 miles per hour. We know it could go up to 300 miles per hour, but if you constantly keep stopping at 120 miles per hour, it's going to feel rigid. You're not going to get there on a smooth ride on cruise control. You want to get there as fast and as smooth as possible, and that's the same thing that we're trying trying to accomplish here. So if we go back into the game here, let me show you how you can look at your 0.1% lows. I actually went into this in a deeper dive in my previous video here. So if you want to watch this after, definitely watch that, because that is how you upgrade your system. It goes through that. It goes through how to actually use this benchmark utility correctly, but I'll skim over it real quick. So if you go to the benchmark utility right here, it's going to show you basically your 0.1% lows, your 0.5 lows, and your averages. What is your averages? Your averages is how good your PC is, right? Your 0.1% lows and your lower fifth FPS lows is what you feel. So you ever had great FPS, but you're losing that gunfight, or you see that enemy too late, or the game just feels very, very stuttery? That is what the 0.1% lows do. So if your 0.1% lows are too low, then you're gonna have that stutter there. You have to pay close attention to those, because that's going to determine if you're gonna have a great day gaming and you're gonna win all your gunfights and see enemies quicker, or if you're gonna have a horrible day gaming and you're not gonna win your gunfights here. So when it comes to averages, my average could be a 300 FPS average, and then I could have another PC with a 300 FPS average. But whichever PC has the higher 0.1% lows is going to be the smoother PC here. So I just hope that actually makes sense here. I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like in a minute once the benchmark is complete. So once you're going through your system, guys, once you're applying all these settings here, you wanna be looking for your 0.1% lows in your lower fifth. So let me show you just a quick benchmark that I just ran. All right, so we are on the benchmark here. So this is going to tell you some very, very important information here. So all you have to look at is a couple of things. So first of all, when you're running this benchmark, you want to make sure that your display resolution matches your monitor. Then you want to make sure that your render resolution is 100%. Then for upscaling, if you want accurate results, if you want results that won't skew the data a little bit for you, what you're going to want is to either run fidelity cast, or you want this feature off. So it's either you want fidelity cast or off. Now, in regards to just this results here, I'm going to quickly skim by it, but if you want a deeper understanding, please go watch that other video here. So as you can see, I have a 378 FPS average, which is pretty good to say the least. And then I have a lower fifth and lower first. My lower fifth is 309 FPS and my lower first is 290 FPS. And this is very good. So this is basically means that I have higher low 1% FPS than my monitor is even capable of, which is perfect, because that means that my game's going to feel absolutely smooth here. And that is the key. If my lower first was 100 FPS and I had 378 FPS average, then we have a problem, boys. We got to fix something. So if you see a high difference between your low first and your averages, then you need to check something. Something is wrong here. We have just a tool for you. They implemented the performance summary, which is going to be amazing. So this is going to show you that what you're bottlenecked on. So the higher the bottleneck percentage is the greatest FPS impact if you upgraded that part. So let's say that my bottleneck is my GPU, because it's 76%. That's a bottleneck percentage. So that means if I upgraded my GPU to a 4090 Ti or 4090 Super, whichever is coming out, right? That means that I will get a great benefit in terms of FPS and 0.1% FPS by upgrading this part here, or by just making this part faster by overclocking it and doing a lot of other stuff, right? So it's the same thing for your CPU. Your CPU is generally, you definitely don't want your CPU to be your bottleneck generally. You mostly want your GPU to be your bottleneck. And you want this graph to be around the 50% or 50, 20, 80% to your GPU, just like mine is. Now, this is going to skew based on what settings you run. Like example, I run normal settings, so my GPU is going to be a greater bottleneck, as you can see. However, you can see exactly what kind of impact it's going to make here. So if your lower first are completely bad, then and you're looking for something to upgrade immediately, then what I would do is look at your bottlenecks, make sure all your settings are dialed up, the exact settings that you want to run without upscaling, and then from there you can decide what to upgrade. So for my my example, I just need a better GPU. My CPU is fast enough, right? For you, you might need a better CPU. The only thing that we don't want is a 99% or 90% kind of bottleneck, right? Unless you're running very high settings. That's the only exception. If you're running 4K or high settings or something like that, then you want a 99% GPU bottleneck. However, if you're not running high settings, you're running my settings that I just provided you on 1080p and you're very much bottlenecked by your CPU by 99%, that's a sign that you most likely need to upgrade here. So I hope that helps in determining parts on your systems holding you back, because a lot of guides don't go through this, and I just want to make sure that you guys are informed as possible when it comes to your PC here. Oh, and I almost forgot about one setting, guys. So this is going to be personal preference, but a lot of professional players are using it, especially if you're on SMG. If you're on AR, this might not be for you. So if you go into your settings, and then you go into graphics and you go to view, and then you see weapon field here. If you are a SMG or AR, you can switch this to wide. That way it takes up less space and your weapon looks smaller. That way you can see enemies just a tad bit better in the corner of your eye or something like that. So this is just a little secret setting between me and you. Don't tell anybody else here. But basically try that out and make sure that's going to be perfectly fine. But yeah, guys, so the last part that we have to go over. Listen, buddy, you bought the pre-built, didn't you? And if you built your own PC, I am proud of you. Now, what's holding your FPS back? What's holding it back? Most likely, the main components is your CPU, GPU, cooling, and your RAM, right? And most people skimp out on the RAM. So let me give you a quick TED Talk or PC TED Talk about what kind of RAM to use. So if you are on DDR4, if you're on a DDR4 motherboard, you want BDI RAM, and I'm going to link this in the description here, the best DDR4 RAM possible here. It's going to be 3600, and you don't want to use any other link than the link that I'm saying. And not because it's affiliated or anything, guys, just because RAM can look fairly similar, but it's completely different. So what you want to look for is this CL number right here. So as you see, I'm putting CL 141414. That's going to be real BDI RAM, really great. Now for DDR5, there's two kinds of RAMs. So there's MDI and ADI. Now ADI is the best here. So in regards to this RAM, I'm going to link it down in the description. It's going to be around 7200 megahertz. If you're on a DDR5 build, CL, I believe it's like 34. So this should do you well in terms of your FPS. Now, when you look at a RAM tuned, I did all the testing. We spent like $30,000 to $40,000 on just testing, so we know the exact numbers here. So if you look at RAM, 3600 megahertz on DDR5 should equal to 4000 megahertz on DDR4. So this should give you an idea of scale of RAM. It's basically double. So you'll need double the megahertz of DDR5 to get the same performance from DDR4. So let's say that you're still on a DDR4 platform. A quick FPS boost, if you don't want to spend like crazy money on your GPU or CPU, can be just upgrading your RAM here. Or if you want to go all out on a supreme build here with the best of the best, you definitely want probably the 7200 megahertz ADI RAM, which I'll link down below. So we did all the research for you guys. This is going to provide you guys with the best performance possible, and just got to make sure that you use a RAM fan if you're going to tune it. Basically, this is going to provide you, remember when I was talking about that 0.1% lows and that is lower fifth and that averages being tight together? This is going to provide you that little difference from you winning the gunfight and seeing your enemy 100 milliseconds or 50 milliseconds ahead of time and not having that advantage here. So if you want to get that extra little advantage here before Warzone 2 drops, definitely get the right RAM for your system here. And if you want help, put your motherboard's name down below. And the way you know your motherboard's name is you have to go to system information, you have to go to baseboard product, and you can just put this down below and we'll help you figure out if you're on DDR4 or if you're on DDR5. This system, as you can tell, is on DDR4. So I would get the DDR4 RAM. So I hope that helps, guys. That is just a little secret sauce here that you're going to keep between me and you. But I generally hope that helps, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Do not forget to enable resize bar in your BIOS here. All you have to do is restart your computer and spam delete on your keyboard. You should get into the matrix screen, and then you'll enable the resize sidebar from there. But I really hope this helps, guys. If you need more FPS tips and tricks, definitely follow me on Twitter. If you want your system maximized to the best FPS to give you that advantage over your opponents, definitely check out Sensequality.com, where we have just the best PCs and the best PC tunes for you. If you don't get an FPS increase, then we give you your money back here. So it's 100% money guaranteed. So I hope this helps, guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and let me know what else you guys want me to cover here. There's a lot going on in this video, but I'm just giving you guys just a little sauce before Warzone 2 drops. So let me know what else we should cover down below. You guys have a great, wonderful rest of your day, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.